Subscribe and press the bell icon to never miss another video of Bhakti Charu Swami.
Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, Maharaj. All glories to the assembly of devotees. Hare Krishna. So today we decided not to have any verse on the board so that we can discuss more of Lord Jagannath's pastimes. And we're discussing with Shri Maitri Prabhu in the morning, and that's a thought that it would be better to do that way. Although Bhadra Prabhu announced that I would speak on Rath Yatra from Chaitanya Charitamrita, but actually I'll speak from Skanda Puran, describing Lord Jagannath's appearance, then a lecture that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur gave in a All India radio on the occasion of Jagannath's who is Lord Jagannath. And then we'll go into Chaitanya Charitamrita. So, Skanda Puran actually gives the description of Jagannath's appearance. Most really many of you know that. As King, Lord Jagannath actually appeared for King Indradumna from Avanti. King Indradumna was very eager to see the Lord. But it was in Satyuga, the only way one could see the Lord is through meditation in the heart. And so his minister says that, look, it's not going to be possible for you because you're a king, you don't have the time to meditate upon the Lord in solitude for thousands of years and eventually see Him. I mean, you have this responsibility to maintain the kingdom, so you have to continue with that responsibility. So king was very heartbroken, and so then one day when the assembly was on, the king was in the assembly, one pilgrim just appeared there, and he just announced that on the bank of the saltwater ocean, on the blue mountain, Niladri mountain, the Lord is present as Nilamadhav. And before anybody could inquire where that Niladri mountain was on the bank of the saltwater ocean, that person just disappeared. Actually, it was the Lord Himself who appeared there to make His presence known as a token of your mercy to King Indradumna. So King Indradumna then sent various brahmanas to different directions to find the Lord in the Niladri mountain. So after some time, all the brahmanas who went out in search came back. The only one who did not come back was the head priest, Vidyapati. And Vidyapati was a young brahmana, and so he was traveling and becoming tired. He just went to, being tired, hungry, thirsty, he just approached a village by the border of the forest. The village was the Savaras. Savaras are the outcasts. Outcast means they are out of the human civilization. The civilized society is the society of Varnashram, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra. And those who are even below the Sudras, they are called outcasts or antajas. And they generally stay away from the civilized area. So, and besides that also they are hunters, so their occupation is to hunt, so it's better for them, easier for them to stay near the forest. generally a Brahmana would not go into the village of a Savara. Actually, during the Vedic time, the Varnashram system was very strictly observed. And it was not a caste system, as Srila Prabhupada very emphatically pointed out. Like it was based on guna and karma, as Krishna himself mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. But the thing is that the karmic reactions were so overwhelmingly effective that different castes used to stay away from others so that they do not become affected by it. The Brahmanas were in a certain way, so they would not associate with others unless it's absolutely necessary, and so forth. And those who are outside the civilized world, they were considered that their influence was undesirable. Therefore, a Brahmana generally wouldn't go to the house of an outcast or the village of an outcast. But because he was extremely tired and thirsty and hungry, so he saw this village and he just came there. And he knocked at the door, and one young girl came out, and seeing him so thirsty and hungry, she asked him to take rest and be the guest. That house happened to be the house of the king of the Savaras, the leader of the Savaras. And this girl was the daughter of the king of the Savaras, Vishavashu, and her name was Lalita. So when her father came back and saw Brahmana as a guest in the house, so he became very excited, and he considered that it was his great good fortune. So he requested him, told him that, look, you are so tired, so rest here for a few days. So he accepted that invitation, and Vidyapati was staying in the house, and eventually the Vishavashu requested him to marry his daughter. So he did marry Lalita. Now there is another question comes in, that how could a Brahmana marry a daughter from an outcast, a Savara? Now in the Vedic culture, a man from the higher caste can actually marry a girl from the lower caste. But the lower caste man cannot get married to a girl from a higher caste. The understanding is that the girls from the higher caste is considered to be like a mother, and it was not appropriate to marry one from the higher situation. Anyway, so Vidyapati got married to Lalita and started to stay there in the house of Vishavashu. And he used to notice that Vishavashu used to go out at night and used to come back in the morning. And so he would ask Lalita, one day he asked Lalita, where does your father go at night? And when he comes back, he seems to be so jubilant, and there's beautiful fragrance from his body. And so Lalita said that actually my father goes to worship Nilamadhav. So Vidyapati just jumped with joy. Internally didn't display it. So Nilamadhav, where is Nilamadhav? Who is Nilamadhav? Where is Nilamadhav? So then Lalita said that my father goes, nobody actually knows where he is. He never takes anybody there. The reason was again, if those days a non-Brahmana could not worship the Lord. So if people found out that he was worshipping the Lord, then he would have been in trouble. So, but Vidyapati told Lalita that please request your father to take me to see the Lord. And So Lalita said, look, he'll be very upset, he'll be very angry if he gets to know that I told you about Nilamata. And he said that, look, you're my wife, so there cannot be any secret between us. So it's perfectly all right. If your father gets angry, you tell him that, like, this is what happened. I asked you where he goes, and then you told me. So please request him. So Lalita, according to his suggestion, went and spoke to her father. And he was very upset at the beginning. But then Lalita kept on insisting, he's your son-in-law. Like, why there is any secret between you and him? So please take him. So then Vishwavashu agreed on one condition, that he would take him blindfold. For the sake of the darshan of Nilamata. So Vidyapati agreed, and he told Lalita that, please give me some mustard seeds. So she asked, why mustard seeds? So he said that, I will need it to worship the Lord. But what he did is, that mustard seed, as he was going towards the mountain or towards the temple of Nilamata, he was scattering those mustard seeds on the way, with an intention that in course of time the mustard seeds grow, and that's how you find out where Nilamata is. So when he was taken there, he opened his eyes, Vishwavashu opened Vidyapati's eyes, and then he saw Nilamata, beautiful blue form of the Supreme Lord. And then Vishwavashu told Vidyapati that you just wait here, I'll go collect some fruits and flowers from the forest to worship the Lord. When Vidyapati was sitting there was a lake, there was a pond actually, Kunda. There was a pond, and he was just sitting there, and then he saw that there was a crow that was perched on the tree by the bank of that pond. All of a sudden died, and as his body fell, as soon as it got in touch with the water, he assumed his four-armed form and went back to Vaikuntha. So he thought, oh, it's just by giving up one's body in touch of that water, one can assume his spiritual form. So he thought that he would just give up his life there. But then he heard a voice saying, Vidyapati, you have a lot of things to do. King Indradumna is waiting for you to carry the news of Nilamata to him. So this is not the time to give up your body to achieve your spiritual perfection. So that prevented him from committing suicide, jumping into that water. And then when Vishwavashu came back and started to prepare for the worship, he was massaging the feet of Nilamata before dressing him and offering worship. He heard Nilamata speaking to him, telling him, Vishwavashu, for so many years I have accepted your service, but now I decided to take the service of King Indradumna. And as soon as Vishwavashu heard that, he became extremely angry. He thought that this Brahmana must have convinced Nilamata to leave his service and take the service of King Indradumna. So he just became very angry, grabbed him, and he said that I would have killed you had you not been my son-in-law. But I won't kill you, but I'll tie you down, tie you up, so that the wild animals in the forest will come and take care of you. So, in this way, he just tied him up in a tree and left him there. When he went back, Lalita asked, what happened to your son-in-law? So he narrated what actually happened. He said that he conspired with Nilamadhava and he convinced him to stop taking any service from me. And that's why I just left him in the forest. I have nothing to do with him. So then Lalita just ran into the forest and calling out to her husband. Then she found him and untied his bonds and let him go. So Vidyapati just left for Avanti and reported to the king that he found Nilamadhava. So the king immediately with his entourage came to that place. And by that time, the mustard seeds has grown into the mustard plants. And tracking those indications, came to the temple. But he found Nilamadhava is not there. So King Indradumna thought that these villagers, the Savaras, must have taken him and kept him somewhere else. So he questioned them, interrogated them, even tortured them to find out. But there was no information. So he finally decided to siege the village so that they will cut the supply of everything. And so then one night, he got the instruction from the Lord in a dream. And now, King Indradumna, don't think that they have hidden me somewhere. Actually, I myself have disappeared. And in this form of Nilamadhava, you won't be able to see me. But I have come floating in the ocean as a transcendental log. So you take that log and carve my deity out of that log. That will be non-different from me. So immediately King Indradumna went to the ocean and he found that a log came floating. So he tried to lift it. It was too heavy. So he got others to his powerful soldiers. They also could lift it. He used his elephants, horses, all the strength that he had, all the power he had. They could lift the log out of the water. Then the king got a dream, instruction in a dream, that if Vidyapati and Vishwabhushu hold two ends of that log, then they'll be able to lift it. So he requested Vidyapati and Vishwabhushu. And the log that couldn't have been lifted by such hundreds of soldiers, hundreds of elephants and horses could lift, Vidyapati and Vishwabhushu, just holding two ends of the log, they could very easily lift it out of the water. Now it has to be carved and into the deities of the Lord. And so the best carvers, best craftsmen were invited to carve the deity. But as soon as they touched their weapon, touched the wood with their instruments, the instruments broke into pieces. They couldn't even make a scratch on that log. So King again was disappointed. Then one day, one old man came, introduced him as Ananda Maharana. And he said that he would try to carve. The king said, all this accomplished carvers couldn't do that. And what are you going to do? You're so old. He said, look, I came to you and I told you I will do it. I know that I'll be able to do it, that's why I came here. But I have a condition. I will carve inside a locked room. And no one should come in there as long as I'm carving. If anyone comes, then I'll stop my work and go away. So the king agreed. And behind a closed door, he started working. And he could hear the sound of carving going on. And so the king got some hope. Then one day, all of a sudden the sound stopped. So, out of curiosity and anxiety, such an old man, who knows what might have happened. So, the king, forgetting his condition, he just opened the door. And he found 3 incomplete forms are there, and Ananta Maharana is nowhere to be seen. So, the king became very heartbroken. He felt he broke the promise. The deity of the Lord couldn't become manifest because of his breaking the commitment. So the king decided to give up his body in prior probation, sitting down, not eating, drinking, just sitting down, give up his body. So in this way, for 3 days and 3 nights, he didn't take anything, just sitting there, in order to give up his body. But then on the 3rd night, he got the vision of the Lord. He heard the sound, the Lord telling him, he was not seeing anyone. He said, Indradumna, he heard the sound, Indradumna, don't think that these forms are incomplete. These are my transcendental, eternally present transcendental forms. In this form I am there in the spiritual world also. So you worship these forms with the understanding that they are non-different from me. So the king made the arrangements, and now this also leads to another side. I'll skip that. Indradumna actually went to Brahmaloka to request Lord Brahma to become the priest. But and at that time Brahma was busy watching some apsaras dancing, so he couldn't interfere. So he waited, and then when he requested, Brahma agreed, but he said that, look, during these few minutes that you waited here, so many kalpas went by. So, like the whole world has changed completely. So you can go and see what's happening there, and then we'll consider. So in the meantime, the temple that was built got covered over by sand. And one king called Galamadhav, he found, his men, while excavating, found some shikhar of a temple. Then they dug and they found the temple. Then they unearthed the temple, removing all the sand, and found the deity. So he was about to start worshipping the deity. At that time Indradumna arrived, and he claimed that it was his deity. And in his absence, this is what has happened. So finally, and Galamadhav asked, what is the proof that? So there was a crow called Bhushundi crow that lived, that was immortal, just by chanting the name of Ram. This crow, all the time he was chanting the name of Ram, 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 Ram. So death couldn't touch him. So he witnessed, and he was the witness who told that yes, it is actually Indradumna who built the temple and got the deities to be worshipped. Anyway, so finally, in this way, the Lord appeared as Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra, and this place was the Niladri mountain. What we see Jagannath Puri is actually a mountain. It has been covered by sand, the ocean on the saltwater ocean. And it is also called Shankha Kshetra. That place, that mountain is like a conch shell, has the shape of it's actually a conch shell. And on top of the conch shell is the temple of Lord Jagannath. So that leads to a question which Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur addressed. He said, Skanda Purana is describing that the Lord telling that He is present in this form, in the spiritual world also. So where is that? And how did this form manifest there? How did this form is considered to be eternal, spiritual, in the spiritual sky? So he described that the queens of Dwarka, Krishna's queens of Dwarka, used to notice that Krishna is always absent-minded during the day. And at night, Krishna calls out in dream all these residents of Vrindavan and the cows and calves and his mother and his father. So they could see that although Krishna is in Dwarka, but Krishna's mind is always in Vrindavan. So they used to wonder, what is there in Vrindavan that Krishna is so attractive to Vrindavan? In Dwarka there is everything, like it's a height of opulence, but Krishna's heart is not here. What is there in Vrindavan? So one day, and the only person who could tell them about Vrindavan, Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, Krishna's activities in Vrindavan, was Mother Rohini. She was the only one who was in Vrindavan during that time. So she, the queens requested Mother Rohini, can you please tell us what is there in Vrindavan that Krishna is so attractive, that his heart is always there? So then Rohini said, okay, when Krishna and Balaram won't be here, at that time I will tell about Vrindavan, Krishna Balaram's activities in Vrindavan. So one day Krishna and Balaram were away. So when the queens approached Mother Rohini and requested her to tell about Vrindavan. Actually, Vrindavan pastimes is so secret, such a secret that it should be heard by anyone. At least that was a consideration those days. And like also that takes us to another pastimes from Puran. When Narad Muni requested Parvati to hear about Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan from Lord Shiva, Lord Shiva actually made it a condition that nobody should be around at that time. Nobody should be around. But somehow Sukadeva Goswami appeared there. That's another thing. He actually was an eavesdropper. So, anyway, they said that nobody else should be there. So Subhadra was left at the door, at the entrance, to guard the gate, guard the door so that nobody else would come in. And Mother Rohini kept on telling about Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. And in the meantime, Krishna and Balaram appeared there. And Subhadra, upon hearing the pastimes that were being described by Mother Rohini, became so enchanted that she lost her ability to speak and tell them that Krishna and Balaram is here, warn them that Krishna and Balaram is here. So she with it being unable to say or unable to warn them, she just extended her hands to stop Krishna and Balaram from entering. And so Krishna and Balaram couldn't go inside, but they were hearing about their own activities in Vrindavan, the residents of Vrindavan. Then they became they became so overwhelmed with emotion that they assumed this wonderful form, where their eyes bloomed like two fully bloomed lotuses, their face lit up with a beautiful smile, and their hands were stretched forwards to embrace those devotees of Vrindavan. And Subhadra, feeling so guilty that she stopped Krishna Balaram from entering, that she, while she assumed the same form, being induced by their emotion, that her hands, out of guilt, went within her body. So Krishna Balaram's arms are stretched forwards, but Subhadra doesn't have an arm. Her arms went inside her body. So this is how the form of Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra are there in the spiritual world. And then Chaitanya Charitamrita describes in details in the 10th canto, 82nd chapter, that how on the occasion of solar eclipse, on solar eclipse it's a custom, since time immemorial we can see that people go to Kurukshetra to take bath in Samantapanchak. And Krishna and Balaram also went. And residents of Vrindavan also came on the occasion. The Rath Yatra was over, the solar eclipse was over, they took their bath. The next day, as they were preparing to leave, then Krishna, then the residents of Vrindavan, the Brajavasis, got the news that Krishna Balaram was there. Krishna Balaram were there. So they just ran to meet Krishna and Balaram. So after 100 years they actually met. So seeing Krishna and in there, Krishna already got into his chariot. They were just about to leave. The horses were harnessed in the chariot, and at that time they arrived. And Radharani, seeing Krishna, she didn't feel happy. That her feeling was, this is not the Krishna that I know. My Krishna wears a peacock feather on his head. This one is wearing a crown on his head. My Krishna wears a yellow silk garment. This one is decked with royal robes, royal dress. My Krishna wears a forest flower garment. This one is ornamented with all kinds of precious gems and jewels, garlands of precious gems and jewels. My Krishna carries a flute in his hand, but this Krishna is carrying swords and weapons. And the forest of Vrindavan, the sweet atmosphere of Vrindavan, here this is so much clamor, so much noise. Their arms are clashing and making sounds. The horses are whining, elephants are trumpeting, so much noise. This is not So this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was singing in front of Lord Jagannath when in the chariot. That which Swarup Damodar Goswami could understand, and only Rupa Goswami could understand, and he wrote a poetry. Mahaprabhu was singing a very song, Ja Kumara Hara, the one who stole my heart when I was a maiden. The same personality has become my Lord and Master of my heart, my husband. But still my heart is yearning to go back to the river, Reba river on the bank under the Betasi trees. So no one could understand why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was singing that song. Only Swarup Damodar could understand. And then Rath Yatra was over. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu one day went to meet Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami used to stay with Haridas Thakur in a cottage next to his. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. Rupa Goswami went to take his bath in the ocean. While Mahaprabhu was waiting, he saw a palm leaf was stuck on the ceiling. So out of curiosity, he pulled it out and he saw a poetry. Priya Soyayam Krishna Sahachari. Dear friend, the companions of Krishna, I have found Krishna, and it is the same me, Radha, who is very expert in love affairs. But still, monome kalindi pulina pipinaya sprihayati. My heart is hankering, madhura murali panchama jushe, my heart is hankering to go back to the bank of the Kalindi Jamuna river, the forest in the Jamuna river, where the whole atmosphere is vibrant with the fifth note of Krishna's flute. So Mahaprabhu became quite excited. How could Rupa get to know my heart? So he called Mahaprabhu. When Rupa Goswami came, he slapped him on his back. He said, how could you understand my heart? And he asked his other associate, Swarup Damodar, Ramananda Roy, others, how could Rupa understand my heart? Then Swarup Damodar told that you must have bestowed your special mercy upon him. That's why he could understand your heart. Otherwise, we can never understand your heart. And Mahaprabhu admitted, yes, Rupa is very dear to me. So this is how in Chaitanya Charitamrita the Rath Yatra, the occasion of Rath Yatra has been revealed. That Radharani was not happy to see Krishna as Dwarkadish. She wanted to see, she knew her dear one is Nandananda Krishna. Aradha Bhagavan, Brajeshotana, the son of Nanda Maharaj. And so her associates, the residents of Vrindavan, could understand Radharani's heart. They felt that she is not happy seeing Krishna in this way. And in the meantime, Krishna also, his arms were stretched forward, his face lit up with a smile, and he assumed this beautiful form. So, this is actually the form of Krishna's ecstasy of meeting his devotees of Vrindavan. And so, the residents of Vrindavan decided to take Krishna away to Vrindavan. So they got hold of the chariot along with the horses, and started to pull the chariot towards Vrindavan. And that is how, that is the secret behind Rath Yatra festival. Residents of Vrindavan are taking Krishna, the Dwarkadhish Krishna, Vasudev Krishna, towards Vrindavan from Kurukshetra. Kurukshetra is between Dwarka and Vrindavan. Therefore, Kurukshetra or Jagannath Puri has both the features. The Dwarka feature is there and Vrindavan feature is there. And that is the Rath Yatra festival. That leads to another incident. I'll just end with that one. Krishna didn't return. 3 days went by after the Rath Yatra festival, and so the report reached Rukmini Devi that the residents of Vrindavan have kidnapped the prince. The residents of Vrindavan has kidnapped the prince. It's a big offense to kidnap somebody and kidnap a prince. So she decided to punish them. So she took the army and raided Vrindavan, arrested the Brajavasis to punish. And this was enacted on the day of Hera Panchami during the Rath. It's a custom of on the Hera Panchami day, 3 days after Rath Yatra, this Hera Panchami festival takes place. Rukmini Devi arrested the Brajavasis to punish them. She is judging, and the public prosecutor is Narad Muni, and defending lawyer is Lalita Devi. So the question is coming that the presentation is, no, Krishna was not kidnapped. Krishna himself wanted to come to Vrindavan. They simply assisted him. And Rukmini Devi admitted, yes, I accept that, that's true. Because Krishna, during the daytime, he is always absent-minded. And at night, his heart goes to, in dream, he just, as if at night he goes to Vrindavan with his dear devotees there. And so, this is how the case was dismissed. But Rukmini Devi suggested that I heard about rasa dance, so I would like to witness that. And so once again the rasa dance was enacted for her. And so anyway, so this is Lord Jagannath's, the secret behind, the wisdom behind Lord Jagannath's appearance and Rath Yatra festival. Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki Jai. Jagannath Rath Yatra Mahotsav ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Yes.
Thank you. I just have 2 quick questions. When that Brahmin went to that outcast village to find Neelamadava, was that Neelamadava form wasn't Jagannath, was it?
No, it was Neelamadava.
Wasn't just Radha
The Krishna, original Krishna.
The second question is, when Indra Swami established the temple for Jagannath, is that Jagannath Puri?
Yeah, that is the temple the King Indradun actually established.
Thank you for that history.
Hare Krishna. So, okay, we have a few minutes maybe. Yes.
This Rath Yatra festival is going on even before Lord Chaitanya's time?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's going on since time immemorial actually. Yes.
What was the reason the Rath Yatra started?
Was that?
art festival started?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
What was,
Narad Muni's request, yeah.
what was,
Huh?
I'm asking, what was the reason that Rath Yatra started?
Rath Yatra started.
Yeah, why was there originally a Rath Yatra? What temple? And when did
What
Rath
is the
Yatra-
reason?
What is the reason? Chaitanya Charitamrita describes that. In Kurukshetra, on the occasion of solar eclipse, the residents of Vrindavan met Krishna. But Radharani was not satisfied to see Krishna in that way as Vasudeva. So she wanted to see Krishna of Vrindavan, son of Nanda Maharaj. So understanding Radharani's feelings, the residents of Vrindavan got hold of Krishna's chariot and started to drag the chariot towards Vrindavan. That is Rath Yatra.
When did it start in Puri?
Since time immemorial, since Jagannath has been established. At least that's my understanding. Since Jagannath has been established, like recognizing, and the consideration is that Radha Krishna's pastimes is eternally going on. Like every kalpa is going on. Yeah, she was there. Yeah. So when they started to drag Krishna's chariot, they got hold of Balaram's chariot also because he was also from Vrindavan. And they could leave the sister behind. So they also took Subhadra. So that is how three of them were. You see, the three of them were already on their chariots, about to leave. But at that time, they actually started to pull the chariots towards Vrindavan. Hare Krishna. Yes,
Did
Maharaj.
they go all the way to Vrindavan?
Okay, that's a good question. Very good. Actually, they didn't go all the way to Vrindavan. They went to Upavan. You see, they were the residents of Vrindavan. They were the forest dwellers. Vrindavan. So they, during the solar eclipse, they were in that area, like away from the city, in the forest. And so they took Krishna, Balaram and Subhadra there. This point actually comes up. When Rukmini Devi saw the rasa dance, she exclaimed, "Oh, what did I see? What did I see?" But the residents of Vrindavan told her, "What did you see?" Because the real dance in Vrindavan, this was nothing, it was nothing compared to that rasa dance. The deities are ready for me, okay. Jai Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharaj ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.